Gonk, 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 gonk. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Going Over podcast. It is I, your neighborhood friendly coach, trainer, promoter, and 44-year-old professional wrestler. The only time that's going to change is when I get a little bit older. Zack, Primetime Reeb, and I'm joined alongside my podcast partner, the 7-foot wrecking ball, Paul Isadora. Paul, we are on track. I'm not tired, and it's podcast time, baby. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. As I was setting this up, I was like, episode 123, the Lightning Kid episode.
1, 2, 3, and I'm ratting this out right here. We should be on 1, 2, 4. And I apologize to the fans. I apologize to the faithful out there. We missed one. I went live. That was one hell of an experience. And Paul, today I wanted to talk about, man, it always feels like there's so much negativity, man. When I'm at training, it's a positive vibe. I've really put myself in a positive vibe, and I just wanted to start out and let people know, man, there's going to be negativity in the world. To all you young guys out there, don't be afraid to go other places. Don't be afraid to go other places to get work. Don't be afraid to put your videos out or send your YouTube clips. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Do be afraid to go to your training or other trainings and not know what you're doing. It's okay not to know what you're doing. And that's one of the big things I wanted to talk about was, it seems like everybody, it was when I was talking to Propane and I said, why after 12 years are you just doing, you're just now willing to learn this struggle chain wrestling? And he said, well, because it's gay. That's what he said. That was his first response, because it's gay. And I'm like, you're gay for putting on spandex and wrestling other men. You know what I mean? And but the real reason came out, because he was just joking with me. The real reason came out, and it was he didn't want to look stupid or have the younger guys think he didn't know what he was doing, which you don't know what you're doing because you've never done it. So you can't make this up, man. You can't just go in the ring and just, oh, look at me. I'm even if you are a great amateur wrestler, you're not going to understand the speed. You're not going to understand the give and take and stuff like this. So, I just wanted to talk about how there's just so much stuff in life where people they don't want to expose themselves for not knowing something, and they don't want to give themselves the chance to possibly learn. And that's what I love about Primetime University. That's what I love about those seminars down there at the Ugly Dojo is there's so many people that are around the ring that step in that ring that have no clue what they're doing. And this is not a knock at all. Everyone takes everything negative, but they don't know what they're doing. They have no thought. They have no clue how to sit out or what side to sit out to or what way to counter or the speed or the ring positioning and the timing and the presence. They don't know what they're doing. And I just want to commend every single one that steps into Primetime University. And I want to commend everybody that goes down to those seminars that get in the ring and are willing to take that chance, man, because that's the first thing I look at somebody. Are you willing to take a chance? Because this isn't easy what we do, and it's very dangerous. And for you to be able to get in that ring, and that's what I love about my guys. They know no better. My new guys from Rayshawn and Jesse on in this thing, they know no better. They only know to get in the ring and completely look stupid and not know what they're doing, because that's the process that they've seen from the start to get better. So what do you think, man? What do you think? What would you tell these young guys out there? I'm telling them, I'm saying, hey, man, I think it's awesome to see these young guys that are risking getting in front of the camera to try a promo out of nowhere, or go to different places and try to learn something, a different style. a different way of training, something. And it's okay not to know what you're doing, but also what blows my mind is that even though they don't want to learn this new stuff, or they're embarrassed because they think maybe I know everything, they're willing to still go out there in front of an audience and risk their life and injury to wrestle. So your thoughts, my guy?
Yes, I mean, I think that you need to be vulnerable when it comes to those sessions, right? You have to understand that, and I've used this phrase over and over just in life. It's like you don't know what you don't know, right? It's like you have no idea the things that you have no knowledge of until you start getting that knowledge, right? So, what am I supposed to know as a pro wrestler? You don't have the answer to that question right now. When you're starting as a pro wrestler, you don't know all the things that you're supposed to know already, or what you're going to know as you get better at this. And I think it's one of those things, as guys that have been around for a little while, we also have to keep that in mind as well, right? Because so many times, we were just talking about it the other day, how a lot of times the stuff that we're talking about on the podcast, I'm thinking about, like, well, why are we even saying this? Because everyone already knows it. It's that assumption that we're making, that you already have learned this. You already know the stuff that we're talking about. So why are we talking about it? But the reality of the situation is that people don't know what we're talking about. They have no idea what we're talking about. And that's the thing that we also have to think about for ourselves, right? We can't just assume that because you've gone to a wrestling school and that you've quote unquote been trained to be a pro wrestler, and that you're having wrestling matches, that you already know everything about pro wrestling, right? You and I, we don't even know everything about pro wrestling. Like, we say it all the time, that it's a constant learning thing. And we are in the mindset of, we're going to be a sponge, and I'm going to listen to the things that you talk about. I'm going to listen to things that Ugly talks about, Oliver John, all these guys that are, you would look at as maybe, oh, these guys are equal. Like, we've all been in this pro wrestling industry for, decades, but we don't all have the same information, right? You got taught from someone else different than I did. And everyone else got information from different people. And if you truly are a sponge and you're looking to absorb information, you're constantly seeking that information. Like, for me, it was going to a bunch of different wrestling schools and camps and seminars and things like that, and constantly thirsting for knowledge of things that I could do to get better myself, and in turn try to pass those things on and go, hey, this is what I learned from Harley Race, or this is what I learned at OVW, where they were teaching the WWE guys, or whatever. Wherever I went to try to gain information, I was always very willing to share that information, because I've always been of the mindset, just because you have that you're getting opportunities, that doesn't make my opportunities any less, right? We're going to be trying to get better together. So but I think for these guys, it's important to understand that you don't know what you don't know, and go in there with an open mind, and try to learn. It's reminiscent of Ugly talks about being the first trainer for John Morrison, and when he had that opportunity to go to Tough Enough, Ugly just telling him, like, listen, man, you forget everything that I taught you, and you learn the way that they want you to learn, right? You listen to the way that they want to do it, because these are the people that are going to be giving you a job. So just being, aware of, not going into a situation, like, I could just imagine going to the Ugly Dojo and having you and Oliver John and Ugly showing these guys different things, and someone stopping you and go, oh, that's not what my trainer said. My trainer said to do it this way. right? Just completely closed off to doing it a specific way that you are teaching it on that specific day, right? And if it works for you, it works for you, and if it doesn't, then it doesn't. But being open to having those conversations and learning new information, I think, is always important. And getting back to this, being vulnerable and understanding that you're not going to know how everything goes, and just trying to learn on the fly, right? Someone's showing you something. Hopefully you're paying attention. That's my biggest pet peeve is, if you're running through something and everyone is going to run through the same drill, that if you're the 10th person in that line, I shouldn't have to correct you or tell you what we're doing. It's one of those things, and it goes for coaching in all aspects. When I'm coaching basketball and we're showing a certain footwork or whatever, and the fifth person in line, you're having to show them as well. It's like, hey, dude, haven't you been watching what everybody else is doing? Like, I don't care if you're making a mistake, but please don't make the same mistake that I've already corrected the previous four people on. So I don't know. I think it's just important to be a sponge, and I think it's important for both sides. The people that are teaching people to be aware that not everyone has the same knowledge, and to be patient with people, and hopefully try to show them the way that you're talking about it and break it down. And I'm always a big proponent of saying, hey, this is why we're doing this. And I think something that I got from you was the shoulder rolls and how they relate to a headlock takeover or a snap mare or something like that, like putting those into perspective as well. I would always talk about doing a flip bump, like, oh, you're going to be doing this when you take a hip toss, trying to say, have you seen this in a wrestling match? This is why you're doing this particular thing. So to stop the rant a little bit, I think it's important to kind of go to be aware of it on both sides, right? You don't know everything as a person that's getting trained, and people that are getting trained don't know everything as when you're teaching people how to try to do these things. So being patient on both sides, I think, is important.
Perfect. Couldn't explain it better. The rant, we both go on them sometimes, and that's exactly why we're here. That's why when we bring the guest on, a lot of times they go on a rant, but it's about the guest at that point. You talked about ugly training John Morrison and saying, forget what you talk. Like, I never claimed to be the reason Brian Cage made it, but Brian did train at the PCW work farm in Yuba City. Brian, I gave him his first pair of wrestling boots in his first match at the fairgrounds against Adam Thornstowe. When he was running his main event wrestling federation in Chico, I got Vinny Massaro, Oliver John, Scotty Aboot, Nate Rules, all these guys to come down and work for him. I said the same, there was similarities with AJ Kirsch, where I said, hey, give me a little bit more time to work with you before you go down too tough enough. It wasn't don't go to tough enough. It was just make sure you get down here to the training facility and work a little bit. And I've always been a big proponent. I have sparring partners, right? And I'm notoriously known for years for having sparring partners. And one of my biggest sparring partners was Oliver John for 3 years. My next sparring partner was Matt Carlos for a couple years. Everywhere we went, before shows, at Gym Wars training, at the Superstars boot camp and all that. That was my sparring partner. Later on, a guy named Chip Smith became my sparring partner. After that, it was Dickie Dakin. So for me, I'm at this place right now in my knowledge of getting in the ring, and the guy that I picked to roll around with, Dickie was my sparring partner. He's been for a really long time. And it don't mean that I don't get in there and work with other people. If I'm showing an example or something and I'm coaching, Dickie's always been my sparring partner. He should be back March 2nd. He let me know. March 2nd should be the clear date. And I forget what date it was. It was down in Boomtown last time we were there that he snapped his a leg in his ankle. So I've been without my sparring partner. So I've had to work with different guys, Arsonist, Brandon Nash, Ethan Reno. Man, it just varies who Jesse Garcia, who I grabbed to come in and be my sparring partner. But I also like sparring with guys that are just a little bit shorter than I am and around the same athleticism. Like that's my preference on how I feel my most comfortable. I can get in there with you and spar around. I could get in there with you and work a match and a program and all this stuff at these shows. That's what I'm doing right now with you and I. We're working this program, and it's coming along in all these towns. And the whole purpose of this thing is one day you are going to get your hands on me and you're going to slam me down to the mat. But also training for a trainer like myself in helping coach other people is I have to have a good sparring partner. And a good sparring partner is someone who has good footwork. A good sparring partner is someone that I can comfortably move around the ring that's around the same athleticism or close to as myself, so I can show stuff to. And it's also somebody that's not going to slap the back of my fucking neck on a collar and elbow tie-up. It's not somebody that is going to forearm me and I see stars or punch me in the face or reverse knife edge chop me to the point that my chest is busted, or the veins are busted in my chest. And another one is hitting me over the back or to the point where I have to go to see a fucking chiropractor, or I have a hard time moving around, moving around the house on my day off. So I feel like a big part of getting better, whether you're a coach or a student too, is you got to work with everybody. And it doesn't mean you have to wrestle this person every show and get married like that. But I feel like you have to find somebody that you like to spar with, somebody that you can show up to a building with, and it's just you two. And you two can comfortably wrestle and spar. Like there's a big difference in training, doing your reps, practicing matches, and sparring. Like I don't think we see enough, and I don't think these guys understand what I mean by sparring. And that's where you get in the ring with somebody better than you or somebody that can accommodate what you're doing. And that's the person you roll around with to figure this stuff out to get better.
Absolutely. And I remember when I was in training and Adam kind of not getting in the ring with me and later on kind of saying like, I should have taken advantage of that stuff, right? Because you get, you're talking about, working with a specific body type, right? Which, it's great as far as accomplishing stuff and showing other people how to do things properly and things like that. But I think that there's also some importance to, wrestling those other guys, right? The guys that are a little less easy to move around, where you have to make those accommodations because eventually you're going to come across those guys, when you see their name next to yours on the card and you're like, oh shit, I got to work with this guy, right? It's going to be, a lot of times you hear, and it's a humbling thing when someone says this about you, when they say that you're a night off, right? Oh, getting in the ring with Paul, it's a night off, right? I feel like that's like, it's like when we went to the Hall of Fame and when people are talking about you, talking about your character, your work rate, all this different stuff, it's people that you respect and they're talking about you in a certain light, is humbling, right? So, you're going to have those people that you just click with. They're easy to work with. You don't have to, can a whole bunch of stuff. You can go out there and work. They understand like the things you do well and how to make you, how to showcase what you can do and vice versa. But you're also going to have those cases where you have those guys that you're like, I got to put on my fucking working boots tonight, and I gotta, got to get my hard hat on, and because I'm going to have to put in some work tonight to get through this and make this this match something special that I can be proud of. So I think, I mean, there's obviously some benefits to both ways, right? Working with somebody that you're comfortable with, I think is always good for just being able to work on new things and things like that. But I also think being able to accommodate the guy that maybe isn't up to your level, that you're going to have to kind of hold their hand and babysit a little bit is important as well. Because I think, I mean, I don't know about you, but I think, I started off kind of like that, where it was people having to hold my hand and show me how to do things until I picked it up. And then it's like, okay. And that's probably exactly why Adam was like hesitant, like, oh, let's let somebody else get in there with this big fucking guy that's going to potentially hurt me, right? Because until you understand how somebody is, it's very much perception, right? You're looking from the outside and you're going, oh, this dude looks like, he could be dangerous or whatever, just because of how big he is, or powerful or anything like that. You think about how strong some people are, and they don't realize how strong they are. You think about an Ethan Reno or some guys like that are just, grown men strong, with being actual teenagers. You think about that with like a Jody Christopherson, or SPW had the Brian Tannen kid that was, just a fucking ball of energy and intense and things like that, and fucking super strong. So you have to take into account all those different things, but I think it's definitely important to kind of mix it up with all the different skill levels, body types, all those things. So when you get into the situations when you're actually put on a card with that person, then you're kind of ready for it, right? You've already been through the ringer a little bit, and you're prepared to do that as well.
Well, I don't worry about who I'm training with. Like it don't matter the size. Like I said, I'll roll around with you. I'll roll around with Manny Roa, and a lot of times with Manny, if he does something like a takeover to me, and this is just personal experience, he's a shorter, very stouter guy. So having Manny hit me with a headlock takeover and lay his weight on me as we come over is going to be a lot different than having Dickie Dakin do that. I'm going to feel it, the impact. The other, I'm not. So it's not about, I don't care who I can roll around with anybody, right? Like it's my preference. My sparring partner is someone I trust. So I know that I can get my reps in. I can do demonstrations of what I want to see today. And I know this motherfucker isn't going to hurt me. That's my fucking point here. And it's not that they're intentionally hurting me. It's just I have chosen this guy because I'm more comfortable with this guy. And a lot of these guys are guys that I beat the shit out of for so many years at training that they know don't step on Zach's toes, man. My two big toes are fucked up. It's like when Jake Paul stepped on Mike Tyson's toe. I'm old, man. My toes are fucked up. They got blood underneath the big toenail. If you step on my toe, I'm gonna be pissed off. Nobody stepped on my toes more than Ethan Reno and Brandon Humphrey. You know what I mean? Those two guys have just mashed my toes in the ring, and I'm like, God, guys, my damn toes are hurting me so bad. But that's the training, right? Like I have this sparring partner. When I was down at Gold Rush and I had my I couldn't get that damn Dynamite division title, Sparky Ballard, but I was the main champion. And in that run, I worked a lot of like big guys, man, a lot of big guys. And the funny part about it was there was two guys I was working like within a 3-month period at the gold mine. And one guy was Chris Crody, Super Beast, right? And then I had a match, another one coming up with Sledge. Now, in my mind, I was worried about the match with Crody. Because I was like, oh, he's athletic, he's a big guy, but maybe this is the. maybe we're not going to work well together, right? But I was looking forward to this match with Sledge, and I would talk to him on the phone, and I talked to Brian on the phone, and he would be like, "I'm so happy to learn under your tree, man. You just let me know. I'm excited about this match." And I get out there with Chris, and me and Chris have always had a really cool relationship, and Chris is just light as could be. He makes everything look good. The match went well. It was only like 8 or 10 minutes, but nothing, man. Everything worked smooth. He was really smooth to work with. I enjoyed working Chris Crody at the Gold Mine. And then the guy I thought I was going to enjoy working with, I get in the ring, and we're like, man, we're going to call it out there. That was under the understanding that was what was going to happen. And then literally we're in the, gorilla position and seconds, like minutes before we go out, he's like, "Oh, Dad, drop down, blah, blah, blah," and he starts yelling all this stuff at me, and I'm sitting here spraying water on myself, and I'm like, yeah, whatever, dude. And I walk out the curtain, and sure as shit, we get in the ring, and now he has decided to go into business for himself in a way. He's now no longer excited about learning and having me call the action out there. Now, all of a sudden, this motherfucker wants to call the action. You know what I mean? And it was one of those spots where he called it, and I just said, you know what? Fuck it. Go for it. What are we doing? Down in the headlock or whatever, and we come up, and I knew right when he called the spot that it was one of those spots you call where, you're like, I'm going to shoot you off leapfrog, and you're like, you're going to leapfrog me? No, I should be leapfrogging you. Or one of those spots, you know what I mean, where somebody calls something and they call it ass backwards, where the guy who's not supposed to be doing the move does the move. And we did that, and we ran into each other, and I took him over with a headlock real quick, and he's still down there doing this. And I just said, shut the fuck up. Just shut the fuck up. I was like, really, like, dude, just shut the fuck up. And that's that's a prime example of what I'm talking about here is we have people that, especially when we're training, right? I want to put some effort into my training, not just showing some stuff. So I have to know when I do decide to get in there, and I do at training decide to take a couple bumps or some running takeovers or pro steamboat drags or just whatever it is. I know that I want to be in there with somebody that I'm comfortable with. And that just reminded me of that in that scenario. It was like, dude, I thought Chris was going to be tougher to work with than the other guy. And then at the end of the day, I'll work Chris Crody, 10 out of 10 because it was a good experience. And that's the most beautiful thing too, when you expect the worst and you go out there and you're like, fuck, I was pleasantly pleased with this guy. So everybody worked this guy because he may look like a monster and he may come across as this strong brute and everything, which he is. But he's going to go out there in the pro wrestling sense, and he's going to work with you, man.
Well, just you think about how important it is, man, for those guys that, you hear about guys that are, the strong style, right? And I remember you talking about this a few episodes ago. It's like, it's all work, guys. Strong style. It looks like you're fucking killing me, but you're light, right? You're taking care of me. You're not fucking hurting me. So that's what you're looking for. And and Crody definitely has that style where you look like, he's a big fucking dude. He's throwing heavy shots and finding out that it's all smooth and light and he's taking care of you and not hurting you. That's something that I think people wouldn't expect, right? Because you go, this dude's just a big jacked up dude and. The potential, you look at the potential for getting hurt and you go, oh, this guy could probably hurt you. Right. And then when you find out that he doesn't, then you're like, oh shit, that's a nice little treat. So definitely, but obviously you come across guys that are the opposite. And I remember a guy fucking, working my leg and just fucking kicking the shit out of me. And I'm thinking like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you, dude? Like, yeah, you're working my leg, but that doesn't mean you have to fucking kick me as hard as you can, right? Let's 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 make this look like you're hurting me, and please do not do that. Yeah, please don't fucking squeeze the shit out of my head on a headlock or whatever.
Do you remember when we came back from the curtain from that 6-man tag? Do you remember what the first thing Jeff was holding his back? Do you remember what he said?
So you kicked me right in the fucking ribs or something
Remember
like that?
he didn't say it to me.
No, I know. He said it to Sergio.
Yeah. He comes walking up and he's holding his back, and I thought he was. I'm like, dude, you don't got to sell no more. You're fucking a football field away from the curtain. And I'm like, everything good? And he kind of looks at me like that, and then he looks past me and he goes, "You fucking kicked me right in the fucking back, bro." And I remember being in the ring, and if you don't remember, I was very adamant about how we were gonna attack Jeff
Right.
and get the beat down over. I said, just one shot, let him sell, let it settle, and then another one. I said, let's not do this pitter patter fucking beat, because I see guys do that all the time. They get in the ring and they're just assaulting him. And it looks fake half the time because they're missing half the shots. You throw 10, you hit 2, and the 2 you hit fucking potato the guy or lump him up. But it was like I was real adamant about, hey, let's take this beat down slow and get the most out of the audience, right? And he didn't. He did the opposite. And we came back through the curtain, and Jeff was like, hey, and then I'm like, hey man, how was I? Which I knew I was good because I threw the shots. And I knew I didn't pancake him. You know, I was watching shout out to Dale Clifford. Dale. Shout out to Dale. He posted today, and I was watching it, and it was a good little watch. We're gonna have to sit him down for some commentary. I love his commentary because it sounds like something bad is going to happen to somebody. Like, there he is. Oh, look at this. So we're gonna sit him down, and we're gonna get him hyped up on probably 3 or 4 pots of coffee, and just let him go to town on that stuff. But I was watching Caden and Kid Carson.
That's it.
And a shit ton of heat, man. And I just remember him coming up to me, and Caden always comes up to me and asks my advice. And what I love about that kid is he actually takes my advice. And those 2 guys went out there and they executed the match and the end of the match. I'm watching the end of this go down, and the crowd is reacting to everything like they're supposed to and going crazy. The clothesline, the stomps, the 2 stomps he got were perfect. He didn't overkill the stomps. And then he brought the chair in and got the heat with the chair, and then doubled him up, gave him a good chair shot, and threw the chair away, and he had the heat. And I almost felt like he should have given him a couple more, because I felt like that would have added to the beatdown. But just a mwah to Cade Adams and Kid Carson, man. You guys executed. It's great to see 2 young guys, especially one as young as Carson, really execute what they're supposed to do at the end. It's like, hey, show the crowd this, and then when you take them to the next side after you've shown, that's where you level them with the clothesline, and that's, you got to show the people what you're doing. So it was just something I was looking at, and I was like, knowing when the underdog baby face gets the win and the heel's supposed to keep the heat, he rolls out of the ring, and then my arm's raised, I'm done. And then we come back to the heel, and the heel stays in the ring, center stage, and whether he throws his fit or whatever. But I just thought it was perfect, because I told him, I said, no, you don't roll out of the ring. He rolls out of the ring. And I said, get the micro, throw a fit, ask for the microphone, and then apologize to your hometown about overreacting, and bring this kid back out and apologize to him. And because he did that, if he just throws a fit outside the ring and the kid's in the ring, and then he comes in and apologizes to the baby face that won and then attacks him, I don't feel like it gets as much heat. I feel like the way it happened, and that's what, you know, we talk about producing, right? Like, the difference between AEW producing a match and WWE producing a match. And WWE is just trying to get these characters over. They're trying to get the next shot the way they need it so that they can fucking make the next video to make the next person who doesn't watch what their product want to watch their product. It's all about the presentation and how you're selling it to the fans and the camera. And I was just I'll go off of my rant right now, Paul. I'm sorry, but very proud of those two guys, man, because that's what I call executing to as damn near close as perfection as you can.
Absolutely. I thought it was funny because I know the first time that I watched Dale Clifford with the wrestling rap, it was I go, hey man, are you doing the commentary at your house while your wife is sleeping? And he's like, no, why? I was like, because it sounds like you're afraid to get excited, you know? It almost sounds like you're just very much like, oh, and he hit him with a chair. You know, you're very quiet, you're not very animated. And he's describing how he's doing it. He's like, no, he's like, I'm in a room by myself and I'm standing up and I'm getting into it and stuff. And I'm like, it just doesn't sound like that. It sounds like you're trying to not wake someone up in the other room. So I thought that was funny. Just you're like, yeah, it's a great product. You just got to work on the commentary a little bit.
Strip club, and definitely I'm going to be the recovered designated driver, and we're going to get Clifford just blackout drunk at the strip club. Don't tell your wife if you're married, and pull that wedding ring off. We are going to bring the excitement out. We're going to film it, but don't worry, I won't post it. I'll keep it for my own pleasure. That's the thing, man. You know, we talked last podcast, and I said, hey, Royal Rumble, whatever it was, but I said the matches should have been flipped, right? And then I was talking to you last night, and the first thing that Jim Cornette put out was that Sami Zayn Drew McIntyre match, and he had a lot to say about it, like 16 minutes worth of shit to say about it. But he said the same thing. They should have been flip-flopped. And as I was watching Raw on Monday, they put the highlight video of the Rumble together, and it's funny because they showed the women's Rumble highlights, and then it went to Drew and Sammy, and then it went to AJ Styles and Gunther, and then the men's Rumble. So it's like, even in post-production for Monday Night Raw on Netflix, they didn't show it in order, and they showed everything in order except that they flipped those two in the highlights in the order. So I'm pretty sure they knew that they had done that, but it's just so important the way you're placing this. We always talk about, like, is this match number one? Marcus Mack told me one time, he said Adam and Luster were out there wrestling. I believe it was B-Boy and Willie Mack or something like that. And they went like 25 minutes, and the crowd was chanting everything, and they used every move in the goddamn book. And I think I was wrestling Tyler Bateman. And I was just like, damn, guys. They're like, what'd you think? I'm like, oh, it's fucking great, but what the fuck are we supposed to do now? You know what I mean? And Mac was like, the first match should be the best match. And I agree, but I don't agree it should be the most longest and loudest match. It should be it sets the tone. You know what I mean? If you're running a show and you want to get a good starter, we always talk about him. Sergio Santana, wrestling superstar. Are you getting a well-chiseled, sculpted, bodied individual? You are not. You definitely are not. Are you getting a man who is probably going to eat 3 bags of large chips, either Lay's or Doritos, as a precursor warm-up on the road trip there? You definitely are. Just playing with you, Sergio. Not about the chip part, though. But you gotta send somebody out there who's gonna get the audience rocking and rolling, whether they're booing or cheering. If you're gonna send a heel out there that's gonna get a lot of heat, hopefully you send a babyface out there who's gonna do a good job of scooping that heat to build to some heat later. So, this all stems back. We get going and ranting and talking about this, but I just thought very, it just shows like if you listen and you put in the effort on the execution of something, it's going to get over. It's going to get over.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's definitely one of those deals where, and it's, I mean, I think Sergio is the perfect example of, you can't be afraid to go out there and look silly, right? That's almost the what he wants, right? I'm reflecting on, you have the guys that they're in a rumble and they want to get all their shit in, right? And then you have the guys that are like, hey, can I be the guy that gets eliminated the quickest, right? That have no fear of being ridiculed and and having that part of the the audience talking shit to them, making fun of them, things like that. It's just, I mean, and it kind of goes back to learning to be a pro wrestler, right? You can't be afraid of any of those things, right? You can't be afraid of someone going, hey, what the fuck are you doing? Like, why are I don't know. I just think about like the seminar before our show when Ugly was talking about how S grip or Gable or whatever. And then he's like, I never hold someone like this. I never hold a headlock like this. And I'm thinking, like, how many times have I had to tell someone, like, hey, don't fucking put your hands like this. It looks fucking silly. Like, are you really holding on tight like this? But it just goes to show you, man, there's so many different schools of thought when it comes to different grips, right? And and it can be as simple as, I don't want all of my students to look exactly the same, right? If we all put on the S grip, then it all looks cookie cutter. But if I have my hands like this and somebody else has their hands like this and somebody has a headlock on like this, everything looks a little bit different, and you look a little everybody doesn't look like a cookie cutter of each other. So
you asked Oliver John, you're not breaking that grip. This one where you touch your thumbs and you cross that one's not being old school Oliver John. We're not breaking that grip, okay? That one's not being ripped apart. I don't care how strong you are. Bring in Braun Strowman. He's not breaking that grip. You ain't breaking this grip, mother freaker. Man, what was... You know what I was thinking about the other day? I was listening to so many people talk about it, and I made the statement, we didn't need the women's rumble, right? I said that. And on that night,
apparently Ugly said it last year.
We didn't need it though. But here's what we did need. If we're gonna do 2 fucking nights of WrestleMania, if we're gonna do 2 fucking nights of SummerSlam, why are we doing 2 nights of SummerSlam, but we're not doing 2 nights of the Royal Rumble? You're in Riyadh. You just did Friday Night SmackDown in Saudi Arabia, and then you came back the next night and did the fucking Royal Rumble in the same venue the next day. Well, fuck it, run 3 shows. Or don't run fucking SmackDown, or tape fucking SmackDown from the States and run the Rumble on Saturday and the Rumble on Sunday, because we are still locked in. I know I am when I go, oh fuck, Rumble's on Saturday. Oh shit, WrestleMania is on Saturday and Sunday. Well, I'm used to pay-per-view Sundays. That's what we grew up on. You know what I mean? When pay-per-view came around. So it's like, we didn't need the Rumble on a 4-match card. We didn't need 2 Rumbles. No, we did not. But they should have I think they should really consider it next year. Hey, I know you guys are listening to me. So next year, have 2 nights, have a women's Rumble one night, and have a men's Rumble the next night. As a matter of fact, you can do the Women's World Championship and the Men's World Championship from Raw and then have the women's rumble, or you can do both. Here's what you guys do. Okay, you do both women's championships, the women's tag team championship, and the women's intercontinental and United States championship. You give us 5 women's championship matches, and then you give us the fucking women's rumble on Saturday. That way, Saturday's show is an all-woman show, just like that Evolution that was really, it was good and popular. But now you're giving your champions a chance to showcase in title matches, and you're also showing both champions and both challengers. We have 4 options, and the Rumble itself is we get to see who the champions are coming out on that night, and then you do the same fucking thing with the men on Sunday. You don't even need to mix it. Women's on Saturday, men's on Sunday. If you want to try to get creative and mix it up, go for it. Do your thing, I guess. But we need 2 nights of the Royal Rumble. If you're gonna give us 2 nights of fucking SummerSlam and WrestleMania, give us 2 nights of the Rumble. Do not give us do not open with the women's and close with the men's, or vice versa. I think they switched that around one time. And give us 2 matches. We want to see a competitive 5-match card in a Rumble. So give us a competitive 2 nights with 10 matches and 2 Rumbles, 8 matches and 2 Rumbles. Don't give us that bullshit 4 matches, including 2 1-hour Rumbles. We're done with that. Okay. You guys hear me? I'm speaking loud and clear. And TKO, Triple H, you guys, hey, love you guys to death, but I don't ever want to see it again. And that's the bottom line. It's the bottom line right there.
We'll see if that comes to fruition. Yeah, Ugly said that last year he had said kind of the same thing. Like, you don't need to put both of those on one night. He said to alternate them, maybe have a men's rumble one year and a women's rumble the next year. But I'm sure that they can figure something out with a combination, of what you guys are talking about. Maybe you space them out every year, and you flip flop them, or maybe you have a 2-day event.
Nice.
Just see what happens, man. Maybe you just go back to the four main pay-per-views, but they're each 2 nights, and then you can build storyline in between. Who knows?
Yeah, right. I just told these guys what they're gonna do. I was be nice about it. They don't have the option now. 2 nights. Do the fucking same thing with the I mean, what is it? Elimination Chamber. I mean, that's what we're getting into now with all this content. Just if it's a premium live event that's got a special fucking match, and you need to put 2, there was the Monday Night Raw after one of the big events or whatever. Maybe it was the Stranger Things one. There was one men's match. It was Braun Breaker and CM Punk. The rest was women's matches. It's like we're at a time now where you can give us a women's show and a men. If you're going to do an elimination chamber, give us a women's elimination chamber on a Saturday with women's matches, and then give us the men's matches. If you think you can mix them both up with the men and the women so that both of them are entertaining, go ahead and do it. Whatever you're going to do, get it fucking done, because I don't want to sit here through 2 Royal Rumble matches. I don't.
Oh, man. It's kind of funny because we constantly complain about there is too much content. And now you're saying, hey, all the premium live events, you need to make them 2 days long. You need to give us more content. Even though I'm complaining.
Content. I'd rather have that content be too much than fucking God. There is too much content. You got fucking Raw on Netflix on Monday, NXT on Tuesday, fucking Dynamite on Wednesday. When the fuck is TNA? Is that Thursday? which
I
used
don't
to be
know.
SmackDown. Now we got Friday Night SmackDown and Collision on fucking Saturday. I think the only available date's Sunday, but we got to go to church, right?
That's
We
it.
gotta find that time to go to church, man. We can't pray without being in that box, baby. So at 8, if you ain't in that box down at the corner over here at 8 a.m., you miss God, and we don't want you to do that. So yeah, I don't know. There's just so much. There's so much content going on. I'm very I'm excited, and I'm very curious. I saw the actual the card in the group chat for Saturday at the NorCal United, and it's like it's going to be very interesting because I've been down. We've done shows down there. That's where Limelight started, but it's going to be very interesting to see that locker room in Pacheco. It's going to be very interesting to see all those personalities at one time. And then Friday, just a couple days away, we got uh prospects. I was talking to Sparky. They started doing West Coast Pro started doing that iron sharpens iron stuff on Mondays, and he was telling me about that. But he's telling me maybe I saw a clip of it too. But he said, man, there not a lot of fans starting out. But he said on a Monday there were people coming from Texas and Oregon and LA just to get in that ring to get an opportunity to get critiqued by Spark and Vinny and a few other guys. I forgot what the name, maybe it was Chris Hero or something, but these guys are hungry, man. And I remember being hungry when we first started too, because we were everywhere, man. Everyone showed up at Gym Wars, and we wrestled at Gym Wars just for some critique from Gabe and Roland or a couple of the guys around there. If we earned our way up to 20, 25 bucks, we were happier than a pig in shit. You know what I mean? So, I get where everyone's saying, oh, you got to get paid. You got to get paid. Yeah. Well, you go pay for college or you get a scholarship. And when you graduate college, you go find a doctor or a dentist or someone to be an apprentice under, so that you can volunteer your time for however long it takes to try and get hired on there or get a recommendation from there to get a job somewhere else. You don't just go to college and fucking get out of college and they're like, oh, you went to college to be a lawyer. Here, let's throw you up there with Robert Shapiro in the next OJ Simpson case and pay you $1 million. Got to pay your dues, pal. Got to pay your dues. People don't understand that either. It's like, why are these guys on top? Oh, another good example. Sorry. I thought Monday Night Raw was the worst Monday Night Raw of all time. And then Roman Reigns showed up. And then CM Punk came out. And then they went fucking ham on each other in this promo battle. And it's going to be them. Now I know I'm getting the biggest match I possibly can at WrestleMania. Now CM Punk finally gets to really main event a WrestleMania. And it reminded me of this that I wanted to tell you guys. You could have the shittiest match and a great finish, and no one thinks it's a shitty match. You could have a great match and a shitty finish, and no one remembered it was a great match seconds later because of the finish. You could run a really great show and have just a terrible ending to it, and we forgot it was a great show. Or you can run a really dog shit show like I saw on Monday and close it out the way they did, and I completely forgot everything that I was complaining about in my head.
That's a great example, man. That you think about all these guys that they do all the crazy shit throughout the entire match, and then they ended it with a fucking inside cradle or something, and you go, oh, that match fucking sucked, right? They put their life on the line the entire time, and they just gave you a finish that you didn't like, so you're just like, oh, that match was the shits. Perfect example. But if you tell a great story, man, and the fans get a good payoff at the end, they think that it's fantastic. So, I feel like that's what we try to do, man. We try to give them that the payoff at the end so they can go home happy and good. And hopefully they go, hey man, that was a great experience, a great show, and We'll be back next time, right? Because we got that 5 minutes left.
Oh, where'd all the fans go? Where'd all the fans go? Sweating bullets and bricks over here. Hey, man, that was one thing I thought was funny about, like, when I read negativity and stuff online, especially people you try to help, is like when we do Limelight, it's at the Tri-Counties Community Center is what it's called, but it's the Marysville Youth and Civic Center, right? The MYCC. It's fucking youth center. They need the whole roof done. I mean, this place is out of date. It's an eyesore on the left of the highway leaving Marysville on your way to a 30-minute drive to Oroville, right? Next to the fucking bus stop where they work on the transit buses and shit, the B line. And it's like it's not a profitable thing right now with what we're doing there. We're giving up half the ticket sales and the concession, which concession stand is a big chunk of money on indie wrestling. So for anybody out there that doesn't know their asshole from a hole in the ground, to diss somebody for helping a youth center raise money. You are a certifiable cum dick. You know what I mean? Like, people who do that, you're a cum dick is what you are, because you're raising money for a youth center. We're not going into something like this thinking we're profitable. So I just see comments and stuff, and it's like, dude, keep the negativity away. I ain't gonna block you. I ain't gonna talk trash to you. I don't care. But it just goes for everyone. It's like, there's gonna be fuck ups, man. There's gonna be bad nights. There's gonna be good nights. And it's the way we started this podcast. It's about getting out there and trying and putting in the effort, man, and learn from your failures. Because nobody's ever been successful in life. I'm just successful. That's it. I got this big physique, says the world's strongest man, John Anderson, because I just was born this way. No, you weren't born that way. A lot of hard work, man. A lot of hard work, a lot of failures, a lot of, man, you're going to fail many, many times, man. So everyone out there, let's be positive. If you think that I'm not positive about things I'm saying, I'm very positive about the stuff I'm talking about. I said the Rumble sucked. I didn't say I didn't enjoy my time watching it. I just said, hey, you could have flipped these two matches around. And then I said, hey, we didn't need the women's Rumble. I'm just stating a fact here. We did not need that. We didn't need that match in that order. And it's the truth. So, guys, just one more time, I'm going to reiterate this. 2 nights, Royal Rumble next year. Let's have a women's night and men's night. If you guys think you can mix them together to make some sense, go for it, man. I believe in you. I think you guys are on top of the game. AEW, WWE on top of the game. You got my full support back here. Full validation. You're the mans. You're the womans. Let's go. And I'm just rambling at this point because we're about to put a button and tighten a nice little bow on this podcast.
That's it, man. So you got a couple things going on this weekend, right? We got Friday prospects, right? Saturday, NorCal United. Should be a stacked card. And I hopefully it sells out. Hopefully there's enough room for all the wrestlers. Hopefully all the personalities mingle well together. And hopefully you get to go on first,
I don't.
Oh, shucks. Oh, shucks.
No. Well, I am going to say this. Rick Luxury said 125 comfortably, 175 packed to the gills. And if anybody's going to say that, if I'm going to believe anybody who says anything, it's going to be Rick Luxury, because Rick Luxury is going to tell it how it goes with a smile on his face. No, I've seen that place. I think when I saw that place at PAX, it was still during COVID, and it was the Jordan Blue debut night. She went out there and fucking sold like 75 tickets, man. It's like, oh, let's get ready to go. Well, for Zach Primetime Reeb and the Wrecking Ball Paul Isadora, just remember this: keep your dick out your zippers and keep your cheeks together. Hit that subscribe button because we need those subscriptions. We need those likes. We need those comments. And we're going over.